Hello, everyone. This is Dino Moore coming at you with the first of what hopefully will be many of my prescription for life videos to share some of what I've learned in the many, many years of my life and the wrong turns I've taken and some of the right turns I've taken and some of the knowledge that I've gained. And then some of the things that I've seen around the net and then share it with you. And hopefully we can open a dialogue and clear the air about a lot of things. First thing I want to talk about, because it's gotten pretty prevalent and I'm seeing it everywhere, are these videos of parents um, spanking their children in public. Grabbing them by the hair, cursing them out, spanking them with belts and switches and wooden spoons and everything under the sun because they supposedly stepped out of line or have done something to anger the parent or that they just weren't supposed to do. And though I feel I'm all for disciplining a child, um, because you raise up a child as you would have them grow, and they won't stray from it. I believe in that, but what we've got to understand emphatically that violence in this community only begets violence. It when I see those videos, all the responses I see, almost every response I see says, "Good for her. Glad they got in that tail. That's a good old fashioned ass beating. My mother did it to me. Look how I turned out. And, look, my mom did it to me and my dad did it to me." And, what I really want to ask some of these people is really, if you look in the mirror, how really did you turn out? What do you have to hang your hat on that makes your life also fire great, that the beatings in your life made you an outstanding person? Are you president? Are you, city council member? What are you? What have you done? Do you go volunteer at shelters to help homeless people? Do you carry around blankets in the wintertime to help? I mean, what do you do that these spankings turned you around and made you a saint that you can make a statement, "Oh, look at the spankers and look what they did for me." When the reality is, I mean, if we think back, and this is a painful reality for a lot of us to admit, but when your parents grabbed that extension cord or the taco track or the wooden spoon or the switch off the tree and they began spanking you, you were being abused. There's no two ways about it. I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack for saying this, but it's a fact, okay? And when you talk about, well, look how I turned out, I take it one step further and say, okay, your parents raised you in what, the 70s, the 60s, 70s, sometime early 80s. Well, so you're the generation of the spankings, and but look how the world turned out. This world is three times as violent as it was during those times. Poverty rates have skyrocketed. There are no jobs. There's homeless people littering, the streets everywhere. No one cares about anyone anymore. When people say, "Oh, these kids are going crazy," these are your kids raised by you, probably in the same fashion that your parents raised you, and they've gotten violent because the violence it's become a circle and a cycle of violence. So we need to stop trying to do the same things over and over again and expect a different outcome and start trying to, research some ways that may work just better. I'm not bragging on my life. I'm not going to say, "Oh, this is my life is wonderful," because it's not. It's not wonderful. But what I do know is I have an 18-year-old son who I haven't paddled his bottom since he was maybe 5 years old. And other than that, I talk to him. I let him know how disappointed I am. I use other means. And my son takes AP classes and has since he's gotten in high school. He's graduating high school with honors, has several scholarships, and he's a great kid. So it works. And I know several other people who are just the same, and it works. So when I see these parents beating their kids down, oh, she didn't come home for 3 nights, and she was out with her friends, and we're going to beat her down. Where were you before she left town? Why don't you know your kid left the house? These are things I'm asking about the parent. And I always say, if you have the inability to parent a child without putting your hands on them, then maybe you're a piss poor parent and need, to get some parenting skills that, will help you be a better parent and thus raise a better child. And that's just it. I can only say that beating on a child, especially little girls, it embeds a thought to them that if I displease my mother and my father and they beat on me and they tell me that's the right thing to do, that when they get into a relationship with a man and they do something wrong and he beats on them, they're not going to leave because their mindset is, well, my parents did it and I did something wrong to him, so I need to do something to make it up to him because I was in the wrong here. Not that he shouldn't be hitting me, but that I was wrong. So that's something we really need to be careful with. And the final thing I'm going to say to you is parents, love your children. When they're infants, when they're small, we say the words no, stop, don't, quit it, more than anything else to our children. When every other second, we need to be grabbing them up and saying, I love you. All these, disappearances of children that have been happening lately should show you and be a testimony to the fact that we need to take our time and say, look, I love you every day. My youngest son, I grab him up, say, who loves you? He says, Daddy loves me. I say it all the time. I saw a video the other day with Tyrese talking to his daughter saying, I'm smart, having her repeat, I'm smart, I'm important, I'm beautiful, I'm intelligent. I took that on. That was a great lesson. So I started doing that with my son, and it's an amazing thing. When you've got kids, for those of you who got newborns, start feeding them with love from the very start. And not only that, start feeding them with academics from the very start. I started showing my kid shapes when he was like less than one, shapes and the shapes of states. There was a study done a few years back where they did over 400 college campuses and all these students and showed them a blank map and asked them to point out where they lived, and less than 40% could point out the state, where they came from. That's pathetic. So, I show my kids little flashcards of the states and the capitals, and you make it a game so that, you replace video games with educational games, and then just love on them. Just love on them, love on them, love on them. Oh, you got me, hug on them every chance you get. And just, I don't know, it fills me up to overflowing to be a father. It fills me up to be this active. When your kids go to school, you go to school. So, I'm doing homework. Last thing, read to your kids. Read to your kids every night. It takes less than 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Bust a Dr. Seuss, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, anything. I'm gonna keep this below 10 minutes, but read to them every night. Please, please. It forms a vocabulary in their child. If your child hears reading in the proper English when they're reading, they won't talk like an imbecile when they go to school and on job interviews. I love you guys. That's my prescription for life for the day. and I'll talk to you tomorrow.